few years ago, I entered University of Lausanne to start my medical studies. I had just arrived in the city and even in the country. I was very excited to start my year, to discover the university, to meet new people. Everything was going great, until the end of the third week. Friday night around 9 p.m., I leave the library, say goodbye to my friends, and start to go home. The pace of work was already very intense, so we have been working all day, and I was in a rush to get home. It was my favorite part of the day, because I put on my music, take the subway, and then the train, and it gives me a chance to rest. Anyway, that night was cold, so there was no one left outside. It takes me about 7 minutes to walk from the library to the subway. I was walking quietly with my music in my ears when, all of a sudden, I get a shiver that runs through my body from head to toe. I start to feel uncomfortable as if someone was trying to watch me. And at that point, I pause my music and decide not to turn around to check in case the person is trying to really inconspicuous, and if I notice them, something might happen. I don't want to run either because I'm not sure if I can run faster and I don't know where to go. At this point, we pass a glass building, so I decide not to look inside and pretend I'm fixing my hair. I quickly glance in the corner of my eye and my blood runs cold. There is definitely someone walking a few feet behind me in a hoodie. I try to reassure myself that he was just finishing work, and that he is going home, and that he is cold and that's why he's wearing a hoodie. But I didn't see a backpack and there's no houses for civilians anywhere. I decided to send a message to my mother saying, "Come and get me in front of the insert name of the building, please. I really don't feel it." This is important to know that the university is 30 minutes by car from my house. At this point, I don't find any other solutions and decide to take refuge in a building while waiting for my mother to come and get me. As I was about to go back, I opened the door, took off my helmet, and went down to the stairs to find a hiding place. I thought I was out of trouble when suddenly I hear the door I came in through opened. At this time, I am sure he is after me, but since I'm new, I don't know this building and where it leads. I run downstairs at full speed, and I hear behind me the footsteps of this guy running down the stairs at full speed. I run without looking back, being sure that he is running faster than me and that he will catch up with me. I don't even know where I'm going, but I pray that I don't fall into a dead end. Looking back, I even think that it was really like in The Shining with the labyrinth scene. I don't know how far ahead of him I was, so I opened the window in the hallway to make it look like I was out of there and opened the door a little further. It was a huge auditorium in the dark. I went down the stairs and hid under a desk in the middle right and put my phone on silent. My mom had been texting me a lot asking me what was going on and saying she was on her way with my dad. I texted her, "I'm in insert name of building. He is looking for me. Please come quickly." I hid under that desk thinking I was screwed. My hiding place sucked and he was going to find me any second. Then I heard a thud and a huge scream, and I don't think I've ever been so scared in my life as when I heard that scream. For 15 minutes, my mother was sending me messages telling me to hang on, and at the end of those 15 long minutes waiting for him to find me, I finally got the message from my mom where she says she's with the police. They are going to enter the building and they need to know where I am. I just tell them I'm on the second floor because I have no idea what room I was in or which way I was going. After 2 minutes, I heard the door of the auditorium, and it was the police that had come to get me. Once I got out, they took my statement and said they would check the university management. The next day, they contacted us and said they saw on the surveillance cameras that there was someone indeed who had followed me when I entered the building, but there were no cameras inside. You can't see the guy's face, therefore you don't know who it is. They just said that security was going to do patrols at night and advised me to have someone with me when I went out at that time. We never heard from it again, and that's good. For context, I am a 26-year-old male and have a larger build. Not fat, but not also muscular, just have a bigger look to me. I have lived an unusual life and have been through many iffy situations with people, so I am not frightened easy by odd or wacky people. I can also defend myself pretty well in a fight. I live in a city with pretty bad crime and work on a sketchy side of town while not most of the crime filled it is still sketchy, and you still get shady people once in a while. I am also a fan of the dark life, so I love working at night and do not really get scared. I work a second shift job, and it is my duty as one of the supervisors to lock the gate after the sun goes down, and all the day shift people are gone. Our work is enclosed with a fence that has barbed wire on top. Just a few days ago, I was walking to close the gate. I was coming from the far side of the parking lot after throwing something away in the dumpster. As I was walking to the gate, I could see a strange man on a bike. It is dark and cold out this time of year at 8 p.m., so I found it odd to see a man that was at least 30 or 40 on a bike. But I carried on as it could be just a man going to work or leaving work who doesn't have a car. As I continue to walk, I see he is now doing circles in the road at the end of the little driveway that leads to the fence. Now my guard is up. This is strange to me. As I reach the fence, he has now set down the bike and is looking at me and walking towards me. He is shaking like I have seen many people on drugs do before. I am still not super worried. As I said, I have dealt with many shady people before. I close one side of the gate quick and rush to the other, swinging it closed. The gate is locked by a chain and a padlock, so I grab both sides of the chain. Before I can get the padlock in through, the man sticks his hand through the fence and grabs me by the shirt. At this point, I yell, "Get the fuck out before I beat your ass!" As it was, I was holding the fence closed with the chain while he grabbed me and yelled, "I'll fucking kill you!" The only thing going through my mind was how I was going to get the upper hand on this dude, and if I should fight him or wrap the damn chain around his neck. I was fortunate, and a police officer just turned the block as this was going down, and he flipped his lights on and quickly took the man down and cuffed him. While the man was in his car, he questioned me and got a statement, and I was on my way. So to the druggie who wanted to kill me, let's not meet again. When I was much younger, I used to go out and party almost every night. I couldn't stand staying at home, so being out in town felt good, especially with friends. We would go bar hopping, and one of the pubs that we frequented was called Pop-In. We would get wasted as the alcohol here is dirt cheap due to the island being duty-free, so imagine being teenagers and being wasted most of the time. Not a good combination, and bad things are bound to happen. I grew up on this island, and I know many of the town folks here. It's a relatively safe place to be since it's just a small island. You could literally leave your car doors unlocked and nobody would steal your car. Hence, there's nowhere to run, and the only way out of the island is either by flight, speedboat, or ro-ro ferry. So back to the story. I was out one night with my buddies as usual, having some drinks at a local pub. We were having a total great time. We were having a great time listening to the live band that was playing at the time. It was crowded inside and people were drinking and dancing. Me and my friends were too. My friend's name was Steve. See, Steve and I were close and I knew him since he was in high school. At the time, I was in early 20s. We were good friends, and while we were in the pub, he suddenly called me to go outside and accompany him to go and see someone. Curiously, I followed him outside, and when I asked him, he just told me to back him up and that the guy we were going to meet was apparently dating Steve's younger sister, and Steve didn't like that one bit since his sister was still in high school. So when he came, Steve warned him not to disturb his sister and stay away from her, which I thought was fair. Then, being the hero wannabe, I butted in and started telling him the same thing, and he wasn't taking it one bit from me and got really pissed instead. He said that I was going to regret opening my mouth and just walked off. We went back inside and I started telling my friends, telling him that the fight was going to go down as I knew that guy was going to call his friends as well. About 15 minutes passed, and when I got called out, and this guy had brought about 15 to 20 guys, and they surrounded me and Steve. Then this guy's uncle pulled me aside and slapped me, saying that I was a dead man. I tried to fight back, but he did something that really shook me up. He brandished an army knife from his black jeans, the kind that had those teeth-like textures at the back end of the blade, the kind that could literally be used to pull your guts inside out. Yeah, that was that kind of knife. I froze and I didn't know what to do as he was holding on to my t-shirt with one hand and a knife on the other. Immediately, I thought to myself, oh shit, I'm gonna get stabbed and probably killed tonight. So much was racing through my mind and I couldn't think. According to Steve, most of these guys had weapons on them. One of them even broke beer bottles and was holding up the sharp broken glass ready to hurt us. Then, out of nowhere, my brother-in-law came screaming, saying that he was a cop and that backup was coming if they didn't settle it there and then. My brother-in-law is a big guy and stands at almost 6 feet tall, so I knew that they believed that he was a cop and started to settle down. The guy that was dating Steve's daughter still wasn't satisfied and wanted to fight me one-on-one. At first, I denied, but after he kept asking, I just said yes. Luckily, he didn't go through it and just settled with a handshake. He told me not to go after his uncle and wanted to really settle. I agreed since this was a small island and you would meet at the same place all the time. I went home after that as I had enough for the night, and that incident shook the alcohol out of me and sobered me up. I still saw that guy and his knife-wielding uncle a couple more times when I was out in town, but we just nodded at each other and never had problems with one another ever since. So that's my story of the time I almost got stabbed and probably killed by some random guy's uncle just for the butting in their conversation, which was none of my business in the first place. And that's the reason I no longer favor going out to drink till you can think straight.